State Representative District 45. Candidates in this race are as follows: Erin Zwiener and Chevo Pastrano. Going in alphabetical order, Mr. Pastrano, I would ask you to introduce yourself to the audience, and you have 1 minute.
Thanks, Ray. My name is Chevo Pastrano. I was born in Lockhart. I was raised in Hays County. My mother and father made Kyle our home in 1980. My mom and dad are here in the room today, or at least they were. I see that they're gone now. I was like, they left me. I went to Kyle Elementary School, Kyle Middle School, Hays High School, graduated from Hays in 1994, and then I went to Southwest Texas State University, got an accounting degree in 1999. I went to law school in Houston. I met my beautiful wife, who's seated up here at the front. In law school, we graduated law school in 2002. We passed the bar, and we've been lawyers since '02. I've made Hays County my home ever since. When we got married, we did reside in Houston for a few years, where I was unhappy. I wanted to return home where I could be of service to the people that I was raised with and the people that I've come to call my friends and my family.
Thank you. Ms. Zwiener, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I am State Representative Erin Zwiener, and it's so nostalgic to be back at Kyle City Hall with the Hays County Tejano Democrats. I remember the first time y'all held a forum in 2018 for the Democratic primary runoffs. And I was so proud to be able to partner with Hays Tejano Democrats to help turn Hays County blue that year and become the first Democratic representative for House District 45 in a decade. You know, there are only 2 things worth doing in the Texas Capitol when you're in the minority, and one of them is trying to improve policy outcomes. We can do that both by getting in the way of bad legislation, something I am in particular skilled at, and then the other thing is to try to find ways to take small steps forward and make some incremental change. The second important thing we have to do is help get us more friends in the Texas Capitol, and hopefully a new governor that actually cares about the people of Texas. So I am also a master of campaigning and helping get good results for Democrats.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the first question, and I want you to understand it's the same question, although the preface for each part of the question is a little bit different, slightly different. Okay? And I'll ask Chevo to first respond. If you are the incumbent during your term in office, how have you positively impacted the lives of your constituents? If you are not the incumbent, but if you are elected, how will you positively impact the lives of your constituents?
Ray, I think that's a great question, and that's the reason why I'm running. We currently have a representative who has had a good voting record that is consistent with Democratic values. But one of the things that she missed in what she spoke about earlier is the inability to get any legislation passed. And without the ability to get any legislation passed, we're not improving the lives of the citizens of District 45. And so that's the reason, that's the primary reason why we're here. It's one thing to be able to block certain pieces of legislation, but whenever legislation is being passed that continues to affect our women's rights, continues to affect LGBTQ rights, takes us backward rather than forward, and including in that we're still not getting anything passed on behalf of our district, we've got a problem. And so we've got to have somebody in that place that will make those changes and make the improvements that are needed in order to benefit the people of District 45. Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you, Ray. The House Democratic Caucus in the Texas House is a team, and as team members, we all play different roles. And some of us play roles that let us get to put our names on big pieces of legislation, And some of us play roles where we get to be the fierce opposition on the floor in the Texas Capitol. And just because we're in that role does not mean we're not making incremental change, but sometimes we don't get to have our name on it as prominently. One thing I'm particularly proud of this past legislative session is I funded a curriculum program for fentanyl awareness education that's being completed right now and is going to be distributed to every single school district in Texas so that we can make sure Texas teens know how dangerous strange pills may be in this day of age. In addition, I was able to use my knowledge of the rules to stop amendments in legislation that would have allowed DACA recipients to be automatically removed from the state of Texas. That was an amendment brought to SB4, a terrible piece of legislation, bad enough as it is, but I'm the reason that legislation does not also attack DACA recipients today. I also was able to stop amendments that would have forced our school districts to collect information on the immigration status of students and report it back to the state of Texas in an attempt to try and target those children. I sat on the floor with a point of order in my hand for 12 hours one day to make sure that Don't Say Gay, that terrible Texas law, did not become the law of the land in Texas. And I also blocked amendments that would have made it more difficult for Texas women to travel outside of the state if they were seeking abortion care. Because of my effectiveness, I'm honored to have the endorsement of many of my colleagues, including Victoria Neave, the chair of the Mexican American Legislative Caucus, Ron Reynolds, the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, Mary Gonzalez, the chair of the House LGBTQ Caucus. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's go in reverse order. So, first question for Erin. Hays County is undergoing swift growth and demographic shifts. For instance, in 2022, the city of Kyle witnessed a significant increase in its Hispanic population, now constituting a majority. If you secure the election or re-election, how do you plan to engage with and represent the diverse interests of your constituents in the Texas House?
Thank you so much, Ray. Now, I plan to continue doing what my office and I have always done, and the first part of that is showing up, being visible and available in the community so that we can hear directly from folks about their concerns. Many of y'all know that my favorite part of being an elected official is knocking on doors. And one of the reasons I love it so much is because only a certain type of person comes to events like this. And so if you want to hear about the concerns of the people who aren't politically plugged in and encourage them to get plugged in, you have to show up at their door and meet them where they are. One thing I'm so proud of that my campaign really spearheaded in 2018 is trying to increase the outreach we were doing in the eastern part of Hays County, an area where when I knocked on doors, many folks said they'd never had an elected official come talk to them before. That work, I believe, is critical. The other thing we'll continue to do is provide direct assistance when needed. Another thing we can do as legislators is help get more resources from state agencies and help Texans on the ground. My office partnered with Hays Tejano Dems in 2021 to phone bank people over 65 in the east side of Hays County to make sure they knew how to sign up to get a COVID vaccine because there were not enough resources and outreach. So my team went all out trying to help get that information to the community. I personally walked around Hays County with flyers in both English and Spanish and putting them up at grocery stores so that people knew how to get vaccines and secured hundreds or, well, thousands of COVID-19 tests for Hays County. That is the type of work I will continue to do. My office door is always open and always ready to assist any constituent who needs help. Thank you.
Chevo, because it's a lengthy question and also for the benefit of our audience, I'm going to repeat it. Okay? Hays County is undergoing swift growth and demographic shifts. For instance, in 2022, the city of Kyle witnessed a significant increase in its Hispanic population, now constituting a majority. If elected, how do you plan to engage with and represent the diverse interests of your constituents in the Texas House?
Well, first, I think that dynamic change requires a change for the representation as well, and that's another one of the reasons why we're running. Ray, I'm not an unknown person to this community. I think that many of you know my family, my father, his prior service, my prior service to the community. But whenever we entered private practice, while ongoing in active legal practice, we continued involving ourselves in the community. We've been here for decades. We invest of our own money, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past decade into this community, making sure that we touch the underprivileged of our society, of our community. We hold a Christmas party every year. We make sure that it's a free event. The only thing that we ask for is for the people that join us, that they bring a toy so that we can then donate to the Blue and Brown Santa programs of Hays County. We've been involved in the community for decades. I agree with Erin when she says that when we knock on doors, that people come to the door and they say, we've never had a person who's running for office come to the door. There's been a lady who sits there and takes one of the flyers and looks at it. She says, that's actually you. That's actually you that's coming to my door. Nobody has ever done that before. And we'll continue to do that. And that's the same way that we've established relationships in the community for decades. Me, my family, whoever ends up being part of the administration that I carry to the Capitol, we will continue coming back to District 45 and being a part of each and every one of these neighborhoods, from San Marcos to Kyle to Buda.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. This was the